very important to inform you that is just 15,000 hectares,
Okay.
that portion. So you cannot have all the Komani people on that land. As recent as 8th of March, the Ministry of Lands, with by that time the outgoing minister Kyle Schleitman was there, but the executive director was at a meeting at Hope, and they gave an undertaking that they are looking at expanding communal land for the Komani, for traditional authorities.
Yeah.
That is the government program that is there. At the moment, we do not have any communal land. So this is, like I said, just because of its symbolic purpose, it's important that we are in ownership of that land. However, the community has a blueprint on how they want to model that kind of that farm. We don't intend to create a location on that land. I told you already what happens when you prop too many people on small land. It defeats the purpose. So there are plans that the community is discussing. In fact, on the 13th of April, there is a community meeting, which is at AIS Tienkam at 12 o'clock, which is a Sunday, where input will be given pertaining to such. But we have plans for that land. That is also one of the plans. Is also that we are aware that City of Windhoek is in possession of about 5 to 6 farms, which they are renting out on laughable prices. We also need to talk about those farms. Those are common farms that have been rented out to people for, I don't know under what circumstances are they being given at those prices. Money is like as if you are renting here in Dorado Park. But that is what we want to understand for how we can get hold of, because these are strategic areas. These are areas with which we have ancestral attachment to. So we must get understanding of that land, and we must get further land in Khomas region. We want further land in Khomas region, and this is just the beginning. But this is just 15,000 hectares. But there are plans to be productive on that land.
Yeah. I know that part of your agitation for the longest of times is around that lack of communal land for the Khomanin. And the dynamics have changed so much that now you have the Mr. Roses of this world occupying some of these farms, and of course the ones that are owned by the municipality of Windhoek, that's essentially government land, because the municipality is a layer of government. But beyond that, which is owned by government, how will you deal with those that are in private hands? Do you say, for example, let us buy out these farms from the private owners, so that we turn these farms into, maybe some of them they will argue that these are productive farms. What do you do with those farms if they were acquired? Do you then continue with farming using the same trajectory, or do you say now this is going to be turned into another Ongombo West where farms become?
It's very important to align that with history. In that 57, when people were displaced, most of those farms, they absorbed our people as workers.
Yeah.
That's why you have a situation of generational farm workers. So most of these farms, the productivity of those farms is because of our people. Our people are the ones with the expertise. That's why you are making that example of Ongombo West. I have said it before. Ongombo West, you can take whoever is the owner of the farm away, but the workers are the same people. What is the only thing? You only need leadership and management, and it will continue. But what we are saying is, we don't want to be farming with scorpions, because that scorpion farming is not part of our customs. Even though if it's a common worker that is farming on scorpions, we want to continue being productive on those farms, but also while practicing our customs and how we were living and what our forefathers wanted. That is what we want, because you must remember, this thing is intertwined. When you have people displaced and when you have people landless, they become a problem here in Windhoek. And it's the same government, the same government who is the owner of those farms on the outskirts of Windhoek. It's the same government which has provisions provisions and programs for communal land for communities like Thomas Thomanin, who were victims of land injustice. So there are provisions. There is also the land conference, the second land conference, which took resolutions. All those resolutions have not been implemented. The previous minister who was there, as well as the two previous ministers, were reluctant in implementing some of these resolutions.
Yeah. Speaking of ministers, Sean, and diverting a little bit from the topic of the day, there was a statement issued, I think, by the Secretary General of UDF last week, and he was complaining that there is no Damara-speaking minister in the new cabinet. Of course, UDF, a few days later, as a collective, issued a statement saying that they did not have a problem with the current administration and that they welcome the appointments as they are. Do you think that, what are your thoughts on not having a Damara-speaking minister at the moment, especially when you are embarking on a fight that is so attached to the tribe that you represent?
So I'm an apolitical person, I'm a social justice activist. I don't look at things that way. I heard about that statement, but I don't think it is about what tribe is there, and it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be because there's a Damara or there's a Herero who's a minister, you listen, and that if that is the thinking, it is unfortunate. And if that is the thinking, it only means that this minister that was there was protecting these people. And I've over and over asked him, is it because you are protecting these people because or you share the same background, or can't you see that some people are owning more than 5 farms while we are farmless? So I don't look at things that way, and I think traditional political parties should not be making such statements. Traditional authorities can maybe say that. So I did not really delve into such things because I'm an apolitical guy. I concentrate on social issues.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is in for Sean in all these battles? We have seen activists in the past fighting for land, and then you hear suddenly they have land in Handisby. Will Sean be the first guy to be allocated that site when Mr. Ross sells?
No, I will not be the first, but this is not about what is in for me. This is work summoned by the ancestors. Some of these things you might think is a Sean thing, where a lot of people behind this thing. When we have our community meetings, you will see we listen to community elders who know, who guide. In fact, if you go and see how people are able to detect direction and how people are able to identify gravestones or interpret what certain things mean, you would understand.
Potholes. I escaped one very big one before I got to the studio. But to be honest, on a serious note, potholes are quite a lot, and especially this year. There are a lot. They are everywhere.
Yes.
So what will happen now is that every year, rainy year, after the rainy season, we then fix the potholes.
Okay.
Permanently.
Okay.
We attend to the roads. We do a quick assessment, and we attend to the roads, potholes, and fixing them and making sure that the road is smooth.
Yeah.
However, this year the rain, it seems like it's going to take long before the rain season stops.
Yes,
so we still have rain that is. It looks like probably will go until next month. We don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. So what we are doing now is just a temporary fixing of the potholes.
Okay.
And what you see we do is filling them with sand.
Okay.
Basically just to allow people to go through the road without hitting their cars on those big holes.
Yes.
But the road, Windhoek has grown.
Yes.
We already spoke about population that is growing so high in the city, and the Windhoek itself, it's a big city. So please, if you use a certain road and you see these potholes, you are more than welcome to contact our customer contact center and just indicate to us which road is that. Because the members of our repair team or the maintenance team is on the road now trying to repair, but we will not get to all the potholes in one go.
Yes.
So please be patient. We do understand the concern. Also, just be very cautious when you are driving. It's always advised that you drive, you must look at the wheels there behind the back wheels of the next car.
Okay.
If you are able to see those wheels properly, then it means you have a proper following distance.
Yes.
Then even if there's a pothole between you and the other car, you'll be able to see it.
Yes.
Yeah, so also reduce your speed, because if you are driving a very high speed and there's a pothole, it's
a
very, very
problem.
difficult
It's a
for you to escape.
Lydia,
that.
we don't have much time left,
Yes.
but I would like us to touch on another issue which is close to our residents' hearts. Earlier the year, we had flash floods which caused people to lose homes. People were displaced. City of Windhoek did jump in and has moved many people to a new site. How is that going? Is there still people being moved? Are there new problems?
Well, as the rain continues, it appears that we have more problems.
Okay.
Because the intensity of the rain also is unpredictable.
Yes.
The process we started in January following that incident has gone very well.
Okay.
Yes, we had a few glitches here and there,
Yeah.
which we managed.
Okay.
A few people were hesitant to move to a new site. It's too far for them and the kids and so on. Finally, they understood that it's not safe where they are.
Yeah.
And not only that it's not safe, we made it very clear that we are going to clear that area so that we make it inhabitable as much as we can to widen the riverbed so that the water can flow uninterrupted. And so far so good.
Okay.
There were a few challenges of school-going kids in the area who have to travel long distance and so on. And our stakeholder, that is the Commerce Regional Council, was holding our hands throughout. They had to come up with some planning to determine how they are going to take care of those school-going children that are in that area. Obviously, the parents, some of them had kids that goes as far as UNAM and university student and NAST and so on, and IUM. So some of the advice we give is to say, if you come together as a community, you can hire a bus that take your school going your students to the various university or to schools, while for the young kids that are still in up until secondary school, the Commerce Regional Council was looking into that, maybe temporary makeshift, or maybe incorporating them into the existing schools that are nearby and so on. But that process is going on very well, and we are happy that there is actually progress in that regard.
That's good news.
For the members of the public that are in that specific area, they continue to receive support, and we really appreciate every supporter, every corporate entity, every company, every individual who supported, from blankets to clothes to food to material, zinc, so that people can build their new homes and so on. We really, really appreciate that, because that really just shows that we are indeed a caring city and our citizens are very caring.
Yeah.
So that is really going on very well. With the current rain, even this morning I had a client who had their shacks flooded with the rain that just rained recently, and they're still looking for assistance, and we continue to attend to those cases as they come available.
Thank you, Lydia. We don't have much time, so let's just have a last word for you. We're a caring city. What caring message do you have for our citizens?
Our caring message is that we have noticed there's an overgrown grass throughout the city now, and there's a lot of things happening in that grass. Can be snakes, whatever is happening there. There are new insects that we're seeing around that we have never seen before. So we just need to take precautionary measures. Also, please take care of your environment, your immediate environment. Clear it, weed, so that you make sure that you are safe and so forth. And also, the rain has not stopped. Please attend to your gutters and your stormwater channels. Make sure they are not blocked. And for the neighbors, please talk to each other. Do not block each other's water flow or stormwater channels, because that's not a good thing to do. And so also, please make sure that you follow City of Windhoek's operations and discussions on our social media pages and on platforms like this, so that you are up to date.
I received a call late Sunday evening, and I say late, so I shouldn't say evening, I should say late Saturday night, that Her Excellency, who was, she wanted to see me. I was still in my pajamas. I quickly got changed and I went and we had a very brief conversation.
Okay.
And I said, you have my full support.
Yeah.
The very next day, I resigned at First National Bank. I may be inaccurate, it may have been a day or two later, but I informed my CEO, and the transition then started to actively work for the party.
Yeah.
And we went through campaign season. It was really an exciting period, traveling the country, many rallies, star rallies, youth engagements, and really just actively talking about what we want to see as a young people.
Yeah.
With that, did some consulting work. Obviously, we have to try and keep to pay our bills.
Yeah.
And then the call came on the morning of at 6 a.m. to be very specific, the morning of the announcement of the new executive or cabinet. And that's the only time that I knew, or that Her Excellency informed me, this is the plan for me. And so, yes, I definitely would have considered myself to add more value in the sectors of whether that be trade or whether that be sport or even youth empowerment, but just happy to serve.
Yeah.
So it did come as a surprise. And if you had asked me 6, 7, 8 months ago,
Yeah.
Dino, would you have foreseen yourself to be in this position today? I would have said no.
Yeah.
I would have said, give me another 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
But there were other plans. And so now is really just to make sure that we can honor the commitments that we've made as a party to the citizens of Namibia.
Yeah.
There's an expectation for us to deliver what we've committed.
Absolutely.
And I'm really excited to get my hands dirty and to work as hard as ever.
Yeah, absolutely. The new president seems to be, I mean, and I hope I'm not getting excited for nothing, but there are really key messages coming out of her office about sport. I mean, we saw now in the budget that there are huge allocations. Of course, the ministry is now big, but even just to sport itself,
Yes.
that $1.3 billion that has been allocated, I think, to youth and sport or something like that.
Correct.
It's a huge amount. It's a huge statement of intent. So how are you splitting work with? In fact, I must confess, I was chatting to Minister Sanet Steenkamp, who's a good friend of mine, and I said I was congratulating her, and I said, please get sport in order. And I was now wondering, in your case, do you split these roles so that you are more of a guy that is pushing on the very side that we want? Because everybody wants Dino to be the one really pushing sport.
Sure, it's a good question. I think maybe to start by saying the party manifesto, which is our guiding document, our implementation plan, it prioritizes sport, as with other sectors. And I think to your point of the budget allocation, we can see that the government of the day is resourcing the sector that we are saying we are taking very seriously.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that sport has not been championed in the past, but again, where you put your money is what you take seriously. I think that's a common practice. So to that 1.3 billion, there's a 450 million allocation or rather 400 towards stadium infrastructure. And that's exciting for year one of a 5-year administration. There's 121 constituencies. In our manifesto, we speak to quality infrastructure in each of the 121.
Yeah.
So of course there'll be renovations in quite a number, but there'll also be brand new infrastructure. On Friday, this coming Friday, I'll find myself in the Kunene region, having a courtesy with the new Governor Muharukwa, and we shall ensure that the Opuo town have quality sport infrastructure very soon. It may not be tomorrow, but it will definitely be this year that will unlock that. And so that's speaking to some of the budget allocation. And of course, we also want to host our national teams in Namibia. Her Excellency gave us our marching orders, myself and Minister Steenkamp, and said, we must ensure that the Namibian Brave Gladiators and Brave Warriors play in Namibia. We've had those engagements with the colleagues from NFA and NRU. There's some ideas. There's a working committee that's been put in place. The final report will be end of April. And so, again, we need to appreciate that it's not an overnight unlocking, but there's now a very serious intent.
Yeah.
And with the budget allocation, it makes it easier for us. So there'll be triple Ps. There'll be the private sector getting involved. We want to see local authority getting involved. It's a multi-stakeholder value chain to ensure that we unlock sport infrastructure.
Yeah.
And so maybe the final point on that is, as a government, we want to ensure that there's inclusivity, and we want to ensure this is not the Republic of Commerce.
Yeah.
It's the Republic of Namibia.
Yeah.
And so all 14 regions, all 121 constituencies, we want to see that it's inclusive for the boy and the girl child.
Absolutely.
And not only football.
Yeah.
In as much as I love football,
Yeah.
there are many sport. If I'm not mistaken, there are 57 sport codes.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, we may not be able to cater to each one, but it really needs to be as inclusive as possible.
Absolutely. In that budget, there's also I think, I don't know whether it's 51 million or 15 million that is supposed to be for sports league,
Yes.
sport leagues.
Yes.
I don't know if I've seen that anything like that before, again, which excites me, because we have had incidents in the past of even our Premier League, Football Premier League, stopping for years because there are no sponsors. Of course, it's not government's responsibility to sponsor the leagues, but I think if there's some foundation, some basic provisions made, I think then we will not see the repetition of that. Your thoughts about that?
Perfect. We received a 50 million budget allocation for sport leagues.
Yeah.
And of course, the goal needs to be to professionalize sport leagues. If you ask only the football colleagues, they'll say, no, 50 million is possibly enough to run professional football.
Yeah.
But we're mindful there are 57 codes. But to your point, we will never want to see again in Namibia that sports leagues are not taking place because of financial constraints. And we need to be resourceful as Namibians. It's never going to be enough. But there will be a formula. It cannot also be a subjective decision to say we like rugby more and we like hockey more and we like swimming more. It needs to be a formula that can really support the gearing of professionalization for sports codes. And with that, it hosts a multiplier effect in the downstream opportunities for service providers, for other professionals. And again, this 50 million is not, it should not be seen as a grant. It should be seen as a conduit for job creation. Because the professionalization of leagues will lead to more jobs. Sports scientists, sports medics, there's the right sort of health aspect of it. There's biokinetics, there's physios. Then we start talk about social media. The team or rather the club that I was a part of until recently, they had have three social media colleagues on payroll just to support the social media efforts of the club. And so when we talk of jobs of the future, it's going to create more and more jobs in Namibia. And it's exciting to see that the government of the day is prioritizing sport.